Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build a wooden motorcycle work stand. As with any wood project, you're going to need quite a bit of wood. I've got my wood laid out here in various ways, and let me explain what they're for. First thing you're going to need some 4x4s. These are each 10 foot long each. My plan is to cut these into 20-inch sections, and I'll need a total of 6 for this project. There will be some left over on this, but I wanted to make sure that I had enough. Next thing you'll actually need, for the particular size that I'm building, I purchased 3 2x8s. There's one there, there's 2 there. Again, these are in 8-foot sections, and I'll explain what these are used for and why these 2 pieces up here are separate. And then finally, for the size of stand that I'm building, I purchased 9 2x4s. There's, of course, 8 of them there, and there's the one up here. Now, the reason I have these 2 pieces isolated is because these pieces are going to need to be cut in 18-inch lengths. I've already done that now. I've got various markings down the way for 18 inches a piece, and out of these, I'm going to need 5 18-inch sections from each of these boards. There will be a little bit left over, not a whole lot, but so that means if you got some gnarly ends, you can kind of clean them up if you need to. 6 of these boards are going to end up being the top, like where the actual motorcycle will sit. 2 of the boards will be for lower trim, just to kind of hold things together. And they'll go down the lengths of the sides. These 2 2x8s will also be for trim and to hold things together, but they'll form the upper section. And then, of course, the posts, being 20 inches high, will hold the whole thing off the ground. These boards here, being cut into 18-inch sections, will actually be, if you were to look underneath, they'll be across like this. There'll be 5 down the way, top and bottom, just to give it some strength and to make sure that it can hold a good amount of weight. Now, because of the wonderful, amazing quality of wood that I have at my local hardware store, as you can see, I got some various lengths. I went ahead and put it up against the garage door since it was about the straightest thing I could find around here, lined them all up, and this is what I'm left with. So because of this, I found the shortest board that I'm going to be using, and then using a square, I squared everything up. So I've got a little bit of cleanup to do on these boards before we can get started. Now, I've saved all the hassle of showing the cutting of the wood, and I did some light sanding just on the outer surfaces that are going to be exposed. Unfortunately, I had a setback. One of the pieces of wood just snapped, so I'll be able to get mostly done. I think I'm just going to use that as a trim piece and use I'm going to use one of the trim pieces that was going to go along the bottom rail, and I'll use that on the top. So right now it's upside down as I'm building out the top of the frame. And right now I'm about to measure out the very middle, and then I'm going to put a spar there, and one right in the middle. I have 2 more legs like that, and on the middle, I was going to put one on one side and one on the other side, kind of at an angle, if you will, just to give it some center support. But pretty straightforward. I'm just doing 2 screws on the very end into the end board, and then 2 into this, and then I have another one that goes just right there into that. Now, this isn't made to hold a Harley. This isn't made to hold some massive bike. It's meant to hold smaller bikes. I'm looking to possibly get an ADV bike. So, you know, nothing too crazy weight-wise. So, unfortunately, I've hit a snag. When I tried to put the center stands in, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's bow in the wood or whatever, they're like half an inch too tall, and they would make everything stick up, or it would rock. So I've opted not to put them in for now. I'm gonna trim them up, and then I can get under there, flip it over, and just attach them later. Shouldn't be a big deal. You know, so a little bit disappointing, but I'm questioning if I even need to put the bottom rails around, because it's pretty stout. Now I might do it anyways. I mean, I still got to go buy wood to do it. So, but I'm about to attach these boards down. I am running into a bit of a hang up because, like in these corners, I've got stuff to attach to, but it's all going to be kind of oddball. So what I'm going to end up doing is pilot holing with a drill bit the ends. Like here, it's got to go in the very end. So I don't know if I'm even going to drill the ends. I mean, we'll see. I may come to regret that. But I'm definitely doing down the center boards to the different. And no, the wood's a little bowed, so I've got some gaps. But, you know, whatever. These things are just meant to hold the wood up anyways. They're not really whatever. So I am struggling because this wood's pretty bad. I really shouldn't have bought it, but I don't live in a big town, so my wood options are very limited. And I took a chance. I've never bought wood from our local hardware store. And price wasn't bad. It was about 150 bucks for wood. But I'm a little disappointed. So if I ever rebuild this or build a new one, I will be going into one of the big towns where I can go to a hardware store with more options. And probably also make it out of cedar or something, which would cost significantly more money, but it would last forever then. Of course, I guess if I stain this thing and kind of take care of it, it should last a long time too. So, anyways. Well, it's not 100% where I want it. I still want to add the legs down the middle, and I still need to add the bottom trim. But again, I'm missing a board because it broke. It's usable. I still need to add a lip at the end here, you know, for the wheels to come up. I'm also going to add a couple of eyelets, which I'm going to be picking up tomorrow. I hadn't planned to be able to build it this early because I thought my schedule wasn't going to allow it, but it did. And I'll probably put the eyelets. Well, I don't know how I'm going to do them. Doesn't really matter at this point. Yeah. So I'm debating. You know, a real motorcycle stand has the two, like, slots here where a wheel can go in, but of course then you can tighten them. I don't have that, being that it's wood. I could add a couple wood slots, but, you know, depending if the tire's small, it might flop around, or too big, it may not sit right. So I'm going to look at maybe actually buying one of those actual chocks that you can tighten up. And of course, I need to get a ramp. I need a ramp anyways for my truck, which I'll just use back and forth to both of them. But, you know, I'm not a small guy, and I am quite confident on this thing. So even with the questionable material, the great wood that I was able to get, I'm quite pleased with it. I did go ahead and pilot all the holes in the top here. That was the right move to make. And I did go around the edges, even though the gap was very small, but piloting made a massive difference. So the boards are held down the very ends. And then, of course, each of the spans going across, there are screws as well holding it all down. So very pleased. I am going to throw some stain on it before I get to using it, just to make sure it's a little more long-lasting. And again, I'm going to build that bottom frame, but that'll be a tomorrow thing. I should be able to get everything I need tomorrow. I only need, like I said, one board, one 2x4 by 8 foot, and then I do need screws. I had just the exact amount of screws for this. Again, I had not planned to build it this weekend. I had planned to do it later. So I was going to buy more things, but I just somehow miraculously had just the exact amount of screws that I needed to get to this point, which is great because proof of concept. And what's really nice, it doesn't rock. Now, if I added those two other pieces in the middle, it would be teetering back and forth. I don't know why the difference in lengths and why both of them are identical in that way. So maybe I'm just absolutely lucky, or maybe it's because this thing is actually bowed, I can't see it, and because it's only held at the ends, it takes out the slack, if you will. So I'm going to trim them, like I said, about 1/2 inch. Get those under there. And honestly, I don't know if it really needs them, but just to make sure that it's stout, because I don't want anything splitting down the middle here, I'm going to be adding those. It's going to add more weight. This thing is significantly, or it's very heavy, but that's good, right? I mean, it's going to last. So I'll probably eventually, we'll see how this one lasts. Luckily, it's a pretty simple design, so if I need to, I can build another. Of course, if I do, I'll be using better wood from a place that has more wood to choose from. Literally, like these 2x8s, they were the only ones that my local hardware store even had. So, and they, like I said, the outward facing looks good. The insides, the ends are all chewed up and nasty. They don't look very good. So I chose the best looking sides to put outwards. Even here, I got a big old notch here, but it's just what I have to work with. So anyways, I know it's not the most detailed video. I hope you gave me an idea of how quick and easy it is to build one of these. So I'll show maybe a little more breakdown later. Kind of flip it over, let it see how it's built. Again, it's not the best workmanship. I'm not a woodworker, but this is my first attempt, something I just drew up randomly, and this is where we're at. Well, it's been a day or so. I think she's pretty much done. Now, I don't have any stain or anything yet. I couldn't decide what to do. I think I'm just going to use like a deck stain, but I've added the under supports. I've got eyelets that I put on each end, and I've also got a makeshift wheel chock for right now. I've got an actual one ordered. I just got one of those basic ones that's just, a hoop. But we'll see how that works. Should work pretty well. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward underneath, kind of like I was describing. Basic box frame for the top with some cross braces. I got 5 total braces. And then on the bottom, I just put the middle one, and then I staggered those two, one on each side. And of course, I mainly secured them to the top. I also secured them inside and inside down here. I did not secure it to that bottom one because that really doesn't do anything. The edges, oh yeah, I got a little tape left. Edges are a little rough because I guess however it sits, it's a little bit bowed. In fact, if you look at the whole thing, it's actually very skewed, but it works for my purposes, so I'm not complaining. I'm very happy with it. Sorry about the fan noise there. Anyways, it's done. I'm going to throw a little stain on it or sealant at some point. Honestly, since this is never going to go outdoors and because it's pretty rough to start with, I don't know how much I'm really worried about it. I mean, look, I didn't even put the right piece out because I sanded the other side and I just got in a hurry because I was excited because it's going together. Anyways, next project is to get these 2 Trail Masters, I know, up on the stand and get them built. I bought one for each of my kids, and I'm actually going to have them come out and help me build them. I do have a couple little project bikes I need to get working on. Neither of them run at the moment, but they will. I've got a bike coming in. I'll have my Trail 125 here in a few days, and so hopefully the next few days we can all go out riding and get this whole thing kicked off. Thanks.